Welcome to the Beyond You podcast, where we have real conversations about healing, trusting yourself again, and building the kind of relationships that actually feel good. I'm Samantha, and if you've ever felt like you're just going through the motions, like you're doing all the right things but still feeling disconnected, you're in the right place. Because here we go beyond the surface, beyond the hurt, beyond the patterns that keep you stuck. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Welcome back. So I just had a birthday. You know what? Instead of doing the usual grateful for another year post, I find myself reflecting on some lessons that honestly would have saved me a lot of heartache if I'd learned them sooner. I'm talking about the kind of wisdom that comes from making mistakes, growing through them, and finally getting to that place where you can look back and think, oh, that's why all that had to happen. So if you're someone who's been doing the work, healing, growing, learning to trust yourself, you are in the right place. This conversation is going to feel like sitting with a friend who gets it, because these aren't just pretty quotes or just surface level inspiration. These are hard-earned truths from a woman who's still figuring it out, but has learned some things along the way. So I'm Samantha. This is Beyond You. And today I'm sharing the 8 lessons that are changing how I move through the world, and maybe they'll shift something for you too. So before we dive in though, I want to set the stage for this conversation, because these aren't lessons I learned in a book or heard in a seminar. I had to really think about these lessons. These are truths I discovered through relationships that didn't work out, boundaries I should have set sooner, dreams I was afraid to chase, and moments when I had to choose between who I was and who other people needed me to be. And here is what I realized. Growth doesn't stop. Even when you think you've got it all figured out, life has a way of presenting you with new teachers, new challenges, new opportunities to become more of who you're meant to be. So whether you're 25 or 45 or 65, whether you're just starting your healing journey or if you've been at it for years, I hope something in this conversation meets you exactly where you are, reminds you that becoming yourself is a lifelong adventure, not a destination you arrive at. So let's get into these lessons. Okay, so if you need to take notes, I understand. Please get your note and paper, because I'm going to be pouring into these lessons. Lesson 1, you are constantly becoming. The first lesson that really shifted something for me this year is this: you are constantly becoming, even when you think you have it all figured out. I used to think that healing was linear, that growth had this endpoint, and that there would come a day when I'd wake up and think, okay, I'm done. I've learned all the lessons, healed all the wounds, and now I get to just coast through life as this perfectly evolved version of myself. But look, that is not how it works. Every season brings new layers of yourself to discover. Every relationship teaches you something new about love, boundaries, communication. Every challenge reveals strength or areas for growth you didn't even know existed. This year, I thought I had relationships figured out, right? I've done the therapy, read the books, I am my own therapist, set the boundaries, did it all. Then I met someone who challenged everything I thought I knew about myself in connection with others. Just not in a toxic way though, right? We are done with that. Please check out my previous episode, Saying Goodbye to Toxic Relationships. You need to learn more about that. And make sure to subscribe, because we give all the juiciness every week here. But what I wanted to get to is that it wasn't a toxic way, but in a way that showed me I still had room to grow in vulnerability and communication, allowing myself to be truly seen. At first, I was frustrated, like, come on, haven't I done enough work already? But then I had to see that this isn't a sign that I'm behind or that I haven't healed enough. This is just life inviting me to expand, to become more of who I'm meant to be. The same thing happened with my work. Just when I thought I understood my purpose, new opportunities and challenges showed me aspects of my calling I hadn't even considered before. It's like life keeps saying, you think you know yourself? Girl, hold my wine and watch this. And what I'm learning is that being constantly in process isn't a problem to solve, it's the point. We're meant to keep growing, keep discovering, keep becoming. The moment we think we got it all figured out is probably the moment We stop being curious about ourselves and what's happening around us. So, if you're feeling like you should be further along in your healing, your career, your relationships, remember that becoming yourself is not a project with a completion date. It's an ongoing conversation between who you are and who you're becoming. And that conversation gets to last your whole life. Lesson two, nobody owes you anything. Lesson number two is one that humbled me this year. And I've been doing this just for years, but I love being able to bring this because I feel like a lot of people have this entitlement to them that they should just get what they want and different. Nobody owes you anything. And I know that might sound harsh, but stay with me here, okay? Because this lesson actually set me free in ways I didn't expect. I realized I was walking through life with this subtle sense of entitlement before that I didn't even recognize at first. I expected people to respond, and I've seen a lot of this within my own clients, just with people around me, right? The expectation for people to respond to my text in a certain time frame. I expected friends to celebrate my wins with the same enthusiasm I celebrated theirs. I expected romantic partners to show love the way I showed love. I expected family members to understand my growth and adjust their behavior accordingly. When people didn't meet those unspoken expectations, I would feel hurt and disappointed, sometimes even betrayed, like they owed me something and they weren't paying up. But we have to understand people don't owe you nothing. People don't owe you emotional availability just because you're going through something. They don't owe you consistency just because that's what you provide. They don't owe you understanding just because you extended it to them. This doesn't mean you should accept poor treatment or that you don't deserve good things in relationships. What it does mean is that it means you recognizing the difference between what you want and what you're entitled to, between what you hope for and what people actually owe you. When I started releasing these unconscious expectations, something beautiful happened. Instead of feeling resentful when people couldn't show up the way I wanted them to, I started feeling genuinely grateful when they did. Instead of taking good treatment for granted because I expected it, I started appreciating it as a gift. A friend texted me back quickly because became something I appreciated instead of something I just assumed should happen. A partner planning a thoughtful date became a lovely surprise instead of a basic requirement. Family members supporting my choices became a blessing instead of an obligation. This lesson also taught me to be more intentional about what I give. Instead of giving from a place of I'm doing this so you'll do that for me, which we talked about before is just being nice, we don't do that. I started giving from a place of I'm doing this because it aligns with who I want to be regardless of how you respond. It's changed how I approach relationships completely. I'm clear about my needs and boundaries because I'm not expecting people to read my mind. I'm more appreciative of what people do offer instead of focused on what they don't. And I'm more grateful about who I invest my time and energy in because I'm not operating from a place of obligation or expectation. Instead, I realize that nobody owes you anything, but that doesn't mean you have to settle for less than you deserve. It just means being intentional about who you choose to be in relationship with and appreciating genuine care when you receive it. All right, let's go to number 3. I said a little bit of it on top of people pleasing, but lesson 3, kindness over people pleasing any day of the week. Lesson 3, choose kindness over people pleasing because about half of what you do is probably because of how you want to look to other people. This one hit me hard because I thought I was being kind, but really I was performing kindness to manage other people's opinions of me. I'd say yes to things I didn't want to do because I didn't want to seem selfish. I'd go along with plans that didn't excite me because I didn't want to be the difficult one. I'd bite my tongue when people said things that bothered me because I didn't want to be seen as sensitive and confrontational. But performing kindness and actual kindness are two different things. Real kindness comes from a genuine place of care and compassion. It's not this calculated or strategic thing. It doesn't keep score or expect anything in return. It doesn't require you to betray yourself to make other people comfortable. But people pleasing, which is disguised as kindness, I also call being nice, is exhausting because you're constantly monitoring other people's reactions to determine if you're being good enough, nice enough, accommodating enough. You lose touch with your own preferences and needs because you're so focused on managing other people's perceptions. I started asking myself tough questions. Am I doing this because I genuinely want to help this person or because I want them to think I'm a good person? Am I agreeing to this because it aligns with my values or because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? The shift has been liberating. Real kindness doesn't require me to disappear. I can be kind and have boundaries. I can be compassionate and still say no. I can care about people without making their emotions my responsibility. And you know what's interesting? When I stopped performing kindness and started embodying it authentically, my relationships got better. People started respecting me more, not less. They appreciated my honesty instead of being confused by my mixed signals. True kindness honors both yourself and others. It doesn't ask you to sacrifice your truth to keep other people comfortable. Lesson 4. Whew, now this one. I know can be a lot for some people because we're so worried about being hurt, and trust me when I completely understand. But lesson 4, love is a beautiful experience, risk and all. Lesson 4 is all about love, and this one opened my heart in ways I wasn't expecting. Love is a beautiful experience. It can feel highly risky, but that doesn't take away from how beautiful it is. I'm not just talking about romantic love here, though that's part of it. I'm talking about all the ways that we love. Friends who become family, mentors who see our potential, communities that hold us, even strangers who show us kindness in unexpected moments. For a long time, I was so focused on the risk of love that I almost missed the beauty of it. I was protecting myself from being hurt, disappointed, or abandoned, but in doing so, I was also protecting myself from being seen, celebrated, and deeply known. This year, I made the decision to love more openly, to tell people when they matter to me, to express appreciation of without waiting for the right moment, to be vulnerable about my feelings instead of keeping them safely locked away. And yes, it felt risky. There were moments when I started There were moments when I shared something meaningful with someone and they didn't respond the way I hoped. There were times when I opened my heart and it didn't work out the way I wanted. There were relationships that ended even though I love those people dearly and deeply. But what I discovered, the risk of love doesn't diminish its beauty. If anything, it makes it more precious. The fact that we can be hurt and still choose to love, that we can be disappointed and still stay open, that we can lose people and still believe in connection, that's not naive at all. That's courage. I think about the people in my life who love me not because of the roles I play or what I can do for them, but simply because of who I am. That kind of love, the kind that sees you fully and chooses you anyway, is worth every risk. I think about the friends who held me during my messiest moments, who've celebrated my wins without jealousy, who've told me hard truths with compassion. That kind of friendship is rare and beautiful and worth the vulnerability it requires. Even in romantic relationships, I'm learning that the goal isn't to find someone who will never hurt you or disappoint you. The goal is to find someone worth being vulnerable with, someone whose love makes you feel more like yourself, not less. Love is always going to involve risk. People are human, which means they're imperfect, which means there's always potential for pain. But closing your heart to avoid the risk also closes you to the magic, the joy, the deep connection, and makes life meaningful. Lesson 5, be careful who you have around. Lesson 5 is about energy and community. Be careful who you have around. And if any of these resonate with you, please share this to someone who needs it. Please share this to 3 people who need it. Because I want to be able to be really intentional with really involving you through the journey, to be able to help you through yours with healing and being just authentic to yourself and other people. Because I know how hard it is. So make sure to subscribe. And make sure to like, so I know you like this type of video, and comment below on what resonated with you. But if you want people with an expansive mindset as you continue to grow, and if they're not in that space, you want people who are addressing their own things in their own life instead of constantly coming to you to fix theirs. This lesson became crystal clear to me this year when I realized how much my energy was being drained by people who weren't interested in growth, theirs or mine. I had friends who would call me every few weeks with the same problems, asking for advice I had no intention of following. I had people in my life who saw my healing and growth as a personal attack on their choices. I had a relationship with people who were more comfortable with me staying small because my expansion made them uncomfortable with their own stagnation, right? It's not that these people were bad or that I didn't care about them, but I started recognizing that not everyone is supposed to be in your inner circle during your growth seasons. Some people are meant to love from a distance. And the people you surround yourself with during your healing and expansion either accelerate your growth or slow it down. They either celebrate you in your evolution or make you feel guilty for changing. They either inspire you to become more of who you're meant to be or pressure you to stay who you've always been. I started getting intentional about who I spent my time with. I prioritized people who were also doing their own work. Not necessarily the same kind of work I was doing, but people who were committed to becoming better versions of themselves, people who could have conversations about growth, healing dreams and purpose. People who saw my changes as inspiring rather than threatening. And for the people in my life who weren't in their own growth season, but also weren't trying to dump their unprocessed emotions on me, I could love them and maintain boundaries. I could care about them without taking responsibility for their healing. But the people who were energy vampires, who wanted me to be their unpaid therapist, who only showed up when they needed something, those relationships had to change or end. This doesn't make you selfish or unkind. This makes you protective of the energy you need for your own growth and healing. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't grow while carrying everyone else's emotional baggage. Your circle should feel like a greenhouse for your growth, not a weight that keeps you stuck. So know that really being choosy about just who you're around and who you just feel expansive with and who you don't. Lesson 6, you like it, I love it. Oh, if you are near me and you've been close to me, you've heard me say this plenty of times. I don't get in people's way of what they decide to do. You like it, I love it. It's your life, okay? Lesson 6 is about acceptance and boundaries. You like it, I love it. You have to allow people to be who they are and live the life they want to live. You do not control on how someone decides to live their life. It's not about what you want for them. It's about having love for them, for the life they choose, and seeing if it's something you can be around. This lesson right here saved so many of my relationships this year because I stopped trying to manage other people's choices and started focusing on my own responses to their choices. I have family members who make decisions I wouldn't make. I have friends who choose relationships I don't understand. I have people I care about who live in ways that don't align with my value of priorities. The old me would try to convince them to see things my way. I'd give unsolicited advice, make passive aggressive comments, or create distance because I was frustrated with their choices. I was operating from this place of thinking that if I just explained myself well, if I just moved this word here, moved that word here, if I just explained myself well enough, cared enough, loved them enough, they'd make different decisions. But that's not how people work. Everyone is on their own journey, learning their own lessons, making their own mistakes, and discovering their own truths. My job isn't to manage their process. My job is to manage my response to their process. So now when someone I care about makes choices I don't understand, I ask myself, can I love this person while they live their life this way? Can I maintain a relationship with them without trying to change them? Can I set boundaries that protect my peace while still honoring their autonomy? If you need to write that down, take a pause here and write those things down, because this helps you be able to let people live their own life. Sometimes the answer is yes. I can love them from where they are, even if I wouldn't choose what they're choosing. I can maintain connection while staying true to my own values. And sometimes, for real, the answer is no. Their choices create dynamics that aren't healthy for me to be around. Their lifestyle conflicts with mine in ways that make genuine connection difficult. Both responses are valid and loving. You can love someone and decide you can't be close to them right now. You can care about someone's well-being and choose not to be involved in their daily life. The freedom in this lesson is that you stop trying to control outcomes you have no power over, and start focusing on the choices you do get to make. How close you want to be, right? How much energy you want to invest, how you want to respond to their decisions. Love people where they are, but love yourself enough to make choices that honor your own peace and growth. Lesson 7, it's okay to go by yourself. Lesson 7 is about independence and self-compassion. Not everyone is going to like what you like, and it's okay to just go by yourself. Y'all, this one right here, I know I've been saying about each lesson because I love each lesson, right? But this one right here was a game changer for me, because I realized how much I was limiting my own experiences based on other people's interests and availability, right? I love musicals. I love them. Y'all, you'll find me watching Hamilton or Wicked or replaying Rent songs. I can't stand watching movies or TV shows repeatedly, but I can watch a musical over and over. No idea why. I've always been this way since I was little. Never wanted to be in one, but those songs, just kiss. But for the longest time, I wouldn't go see musicals by myself because I thought it was sad or weird. I'd wait for someone else to want to go, or I'd skip shows I was excited about because I couldn't find anyone to go with me. And one day, I decided to just go. I bought a ticket to a show I've been wanting to see, dressed up, went by myself, and it was magical. I didn't have to worry about whether the person next to me was enjoying it. I could get lost in the music and the story without feeling responsible for anyone else's experience. That experience taught me something profound. Your interests and preferences are valid even when they're not shared by the people closest to you. Your desire to experience joy, beauty, culture, adventure doesn't depend on having a companion who shares those desires. Now I regularly do things by myself that I want to do. I go to art exhibits, try new restaurants, attend workshops, take little solo adventures. And instead of feeling lonely, I feel free. Free to follow my curiosity without compromise, free to enjoy things without explanation, free to be fully present with my own experience. This lesson extends beyond activities to life choices. You don't have to wait for other people to understand your dreams before you pursue them. You don't have to limit your growth to what other people can keep up with. You don't have to shrink your joy to match other people's capacity for happiness. Live your life for you and nobody else. The right people will celebrate your adventures, even if they don't want to join them all. And we are at lesson 8. Oh, I love each one of these lessons. And finally, lesson 8, which I'm still working on embracing, because this is hard to embrace. The journey is the destination. My friend, I'll give her a shout out, Saran, mentioned this to me while we were in Mexico when we went on a solo travel group. And I think there's so much power in not feeling like you have to have this life all figured out. I used to live life like I was constantly trying to get somewhere. The perfect relationship, the ideal career, the healed version of myself, the life that looked impressive to other people. I was so focused on destinations that I was missing the beauty of the path itself. But this year taught me that life isn't happening when you finally arrive at some predetermined goal. Life is happening right now, in the messy middle, in the uncertain spaces, in the moments where, just in the moments between where you were and where you think you're going. The journey is where you learn who you are. It's where you develop resilience, discover your values, build meaningful relationships, and create memories that matter. The destination, whatever you think that is just a moment. But the journey, that's everything. I think about all the things I thought I wanted that didn't work out the way I planned. The jobs I didn't get that led to better opportunities, the relationships that ended that made space for deeper love, the plans that fell through that opened doors I couldn't have imagined. If I had gotten everything I thought I wanted when I thought I wanted it, I would have missed so much growth, so much beauty, so many unexpected gifts that could only come through not knowing what was next. Now, when I catch myself feeling frustrated that I haven't arrived, I'm putting in quotation marks, when I haven't arrived yet, whatever that means, I try to remember that this moment, this season, this phase of not having it all figured out is not the waiting room before my real life starts. This is my real life. The uncertainty, the growth, the mistakes, the small victories, the daily choices to keep becoming. That's not the prelude to the story. That is the story. So if you're in a season where nothing feels settled, where you're still figuring things out, where the path ahead isn't clear, you're not behind, you're not missing out. You're living exactly the life you're supposed to be living right now. And that life is worthy of your presence, your gratitude, and your full participation. So these 8 lessons are still teaching me things every day. I don't have them mastered. I'm still practicing them, still learning from them, still discovering new layers of what they mean, but they've shifted how I move through the world. They've helped me release expectations that were keeping me stuck, embrace uncertainty that was previously terrifying, and show up more authentically in all my relationships. If one of these lessons resonated with you, I encourage you to sit with it this week. What would change if you really believe that truth? How might it shift how you approach your relationships, your goal, your daily choices? Let me know in the comments. I want to be able to hear from you. I read every single comment, so I definitely want to hear and make sure to just let me know. And remember, you don't have to learn all these lessons at once. You don't have to be perfect to any of them. Growth is messy. Remember, healing is not linear, and becoming yourself is a lifelong practice. The fact that you're here listening to conversations about growth and healing and becoming, that tells me you're already on the path. Trust yourself, be patient with your process, and know that every lesson you learn makes space for the next level of your becoming. If this episode felt like a conversation with a friend who gets it, share it with someone who might need these reminders too. And thank you for letting me share these birthday reflections with you. Here's to another year of growing, learning, and becoming more of who you're meant to be. I'll talk to you next week.